Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Buddhang saranang gacchami Dhammang saranang gacchami Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dear friends, very, very good afternoon, all of you. Thank you very much, Linda, and thank you very much, Tim, for organizing and inviting and introducing for this program. I'm very pleased to be in this beautiful hall, beautiful church, Unitarian Church, today on a very special day. Do you know something about today?
Buddha Purnima.
Yes.
He was born on that day.
Today is full moon day, and on this day, Lord Buddha was born, not just born. On this day, at the age of 35, he became enlightened Buddha. He was a prince, and as a bodhisattva, he was searching. And on this day, he became enlightened Buddha. And at the age of 80, again on this very full moon day of May, he passed away into what we call Mahabodhi. He passed away. So all the three great events, the birth, the enlightenment, and the great passing away of the Buddha happened on this full moon day called Vaisakha, full moon day. And today there were numerous programs back in India or in other countries. And today I am so fortunate to be with all of you on this holy day and spend this time for teaching and learning something from the teachings of the Buddha. So my dears, I heard that you do meditation here every Wednesday. So should we start with meditation? Fine, then we will meditate for a few minutes, and then I will speak on the subject. We need this very much to open our hearts, first of all to ourselves and to the universe. Whenever you have time, please do this. Here in the church, at home, or in the park, or while walking, or anywhere. You can practice this. Give metta, give loving kindness. It is a very, very powerful mental energy. Don't underestimate its power. Surely it helps. If not anybody else, at least oneself. That is sure. Today, we have the subject of impermanence, suffering, selflessness. These three are called the characteristics of existence. Have you heard about these three characteristics earlier? Some of you, yes. When we say characteristic, that means it is the nature, it is the very essence, that is how things are. when Lord Buddha started his inquiry, exploration into the realities of everything, he started observing things very objectively, just as they are, trying to know how they are. And when he started this is what he found out. The three very intrinsic characteristics of everything. Impermanence is called anicca in Pali language. Suffering is called dukkha, and selflessness is called anatta. These characteristics or the nature basically form the foundation for the wisdom to grow or insights. Let us take impermanence. Any common person can understand that yes, everything is impermanent. Everything is changing. You look at the flower, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, in a week, it is changing. You look at your food, oh, 1 day you start putting it in the refrigerator. Why? You don't want it to change. But that is the nature of it. It will change. In spite of keeping in the refrigerator, it will change. Still it will go bad. That is the nature. If you go still nearer and nearer to this reality, how the things are changing, then you will start seeing everywhere with everything. If you start observing more closely, outside things, yes, they are quite evident, you can see them. In spring, how the new flowers and leaves come, or in autumn, how they vanish. You can see in the nature how the sun rises and sets, and how clouds come and go. Wind is blowing, and you can see it is change. We don't give attention to this aspect. Though it is happening in front of our eyes, we don't give attention. Sometimes a little bit we think, oh, things are changing. But not more than that. But that is not enough. That is such a profound nature of life. Coming to our own lives, we also start seeing, oh, how we are changing. Have you ever thought about yourself? Did you remember how you were, say, around 5 years old, or 10 years old, 15 years old? Did you try to think about that? I was like this, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25. How I have changed myself. It's very good exercise if you can do that. Lord Buddha told us, if you want to observe the realities of the life, then look into yourself, how you have changed over the years. It's very good exercise. Before our memory declines, better we remember again and again and see this truth, how we have changed. There is nothing wrong with it. That is the nature. Whether you like it or not, we have to become old. That is the nature. We have to accept this reality. Old age is reality. Sickness is reality. How many times we were healthy and then we became sick, healthy, sick. So this body is not always permanent. This body is not always functioning according to our wishes. That is the reality. It is changing according to the laws of nature, according to the laws of physics and chemistry. Living being, a human being, or any being is changing all the time. Now, to pay attention to this reality is the beginning of our insight. Wisdom. What is wisdom? Wisdom is to know the things according to reality, correctly, as they are, not as they appear, not as they, as you imagine them to be, but as they are, that's all. That is reality, and when you understand according to reality, that is called wisdom. And that also you understand with your own experience, at deep experiential, self-experiential levels. That is wisdom. So wisdom is connected to reality, and reality is this impermanence. So that is why it is important to know impermanence. To understand. It is not a matter of believing. It is there, so clear. The body is changing. Our life is made up of body and mind. Body is changing. We are becoming old. Body is changing. That's why we have to eat food. If it is not changing, then we don't need food. We don't need water. We don't need breath. Because it is changing, we have to keep on feeding these things. Isn't it the truth? But how many times we have really given attention to this reality, which is so close to us, which is our own, which we call our own body. Health, oh, it changes. Each time we fall sick, we become worried, we become tensed up. But over the time, you might have seen some people who are quite calm with sickness. Some people are so much worried and some people are calm. Why? What is the difference? The difference is the person has understood, accepted this reality, then that person is able to remain calm. The person who is not able to accept this reality, that person is struggling, and that struggle is creating worries and tensions, fears. Just because not understanding the nature of impermanence of health. Similarly, death. Oh, death. One certain thing that can happen to us is death. And one most uncertain thing in this world is life itself. It is so uncertain. And death is certain. But we take it exactly the opposite way and start living against reality, and then struggle starts. Worries start, fears start. That is how we suffer. If we go deeper and deeper in meditation, that needs meditation, because at the gross level we can see, okay, I'm becoming old, sometimes I'm healthy, I'm sick, all this we can see, and death we can see outside. But if you want to go really deeply and understand more clearly about impermanence, then you need to do meditation. Meditation means to calm down the mind so that you can explore deeper into realities. For calming down the mind, there are many techniques. For example, you watch the breath. Do you do some meditation like that? Yeah, watching the breath, it calms down the mind. But just calming down the mind is not enough. That is one part. You calm down the mind for what? To explore something further. And that is to know the nature of the body and the mind. When you calm down the mind is sharp enough to see the real nature of the body. Then you focus your attention on the body and you start feeling the body. For example, you are taking breath and the whole body is breathing. You can feel the entire body breathing, expanding, contracting, expanding, contracting. As you go deeply and observe carefully, you can feel that. So this is how Lord Buddha explained to going into deeper into meditation, into calmness and observation. As you go deeper and deeper, you'll see that every breath means change, change, changing. Every breath is changing. That means every moment the body is changing. Every part of the body is changing. You can feel the entire body and see that it is changing. And when mind becomes subtle, you can feel every cell of the body. Just vibrations. There is no solid body. It is only vibrations, which you can feel, you can experience. Every atom is changing. You can experience. Now that is the reality of change. That is impermanence. So when you understand this, oh, everything is changing. There is no solidity. Now we think, oh, I am so and so, my body is like this. I have these parts in the body. That also we don't care much. But even then, oh, I have this solid body. But there is no such thing called solid body. It is changing phenomena. A bunch of changing phenomena. That's all. Now this is impermanence at very deeper level, which is experientiable, which you can experience. It is not a cock and bull story. You can experience. And then that understanding becomes your own wisdom. It is not concept, it is reality. And the mind, which is understanding this, which is observing this, which is experiencing this, the mental component, that is also not a permanent entity. That is also changing. So the body is changing, mind is changing even faster than the body. The body looks quite same the next day also. But the mind, the number of thoughts that have come and gone, have gone so different thoughts. Now look this life. Oh, life is made up of mind and body, and they are changing. Now this is the reality of impermanence. Now if you understand more and more of this reality, then what happens? You understand the nature and you are able to let go things. When you are sick, you know that, yes, health is not permanent. Now I got sickness, so let me be calm. I accept this reality. Let me be calm. And then you manage to treat that sickness with calm mind instead of worried, tensed up mind. Isn't it really helpful wisdom? And what to talk of when we lose our near and dear ones? That brings so much of suffering to us. But when we understand this reality of impermanence, then we are able to let go. Let go, letting go doesn't mean that you don't love your near and dear ones. You understand. It has nothing to do with your love. You have immense love. You have immense compassion to that person. But when that person has died, then you can let go. Because you know impermanence. I saw this beautiful, I think Unitarian mark, that lamp.
Chalice.
Yes, that is, yeah, that fire. That is all the time changing. There was one lady during the time of Buddha who lost everybody in one day. She lost her husband because a snake bit him. He died, and she had 1-year-old child, and that very day she gave birth to another child, and she was in the forest, and the husband died, so nobody to help. She took these children, and she was crossing a river. She kept one child on the shore, took one child to drop on the other shore. When she was coming back, an eagle came and took away this newly born child, which looked like flesh, meat, piece of meat, in front of her eyes. And as she was shouting, other small child thought, Mom is calling. So that child entered into water, and it was taken away by the water. So all the three died, and with heavy heart she came to her hometown, and there she sees that because of the rain, her house collapsed, and in that her mother died, her father died, and her brother died. Then imagine, what can happen to that lady. She almost went mad and she started shouting and running about the street, half clothed, half unclothed. And somebody told her, "Hey lady, go to this nearby park. There is one person called Buddha. He will help you." So somehow she understood a little bit, somehow she went there. And as she came to Buddha, Lord Buddha said, calm down lady." And then she became a little bit calm because of the atmosphere and everything. And somebody gave her some clothes to cover her body. And then the Buddha said, "Oh, this is the nature of life." And then she said, "I want to meditate." And he said, "Well, go to this nuns monastery, where ladies are there." So they took her and she requested to make her nun, and she became nun. And as she was one day just watching, she was pouring water on her feet, and that water just sank into the dry mud, and again she poured, again it went inside the mud. Looking at this change, oh, this is changing, this is changing, this is changing. So also my life is changing. My relatives have died, that is changing. Everything is changing. So she applied her mind to herself. And as she contemplated on this truth of change, she became enlightened. Totally released from all sufferings. Such is the power. Another lady also experienced the same kind of situation. A lot of her relatives died. And she was watching one of these flames, lamp, the flame of the lamp. And as she was observing, the flame is coming. Flame is not constant. Every moment, new fire, new fire, new fire. Every moment there is new combustion. She watched and watched. Oh, everything is changing. She became enlightened. So, observation of impermanence can help not only to live our day-to-day life peacefully, letting go easily, but also it can take up to enlightenment. That's why I told you, understanding of this reality is the foundation of ultimate freedom. The more you understand the nature of change, the more you will understand the second truth, that is the nature of suffering. Anything that changes, disintegrates, breaks, goes away, that leads to suffering. Why? Because we have the tendency to hold on. When we hold on to these things outside or inside, but the nature is changing. So then we fall into suffering. So when you understand the truth of change, the truth of suffering also becomes very, very clear. When you go against this reality of change, more and more suffering comes. Isn't it so? They are related. Impermanence and suffering both are related. And then comes the third reality, which is very interesting, which is the discovery of the Buddha. That which is subjected to change and that which is subjected to suffering. Can we say, this is mine? or this is I. Can you call it? Can you claim the ownership on it? No. But we do that because we don't understand the truth of impermanence and suffering. For example, body. Don't we call this body as my body? We are so much attached to it and so much proud of it, and we are so confident that this is mine, as if we are the owners. Is it truly yours? And then comes pain. So that is impermanent, that has changed. Then there are some sufferings which come in the form of passing away of pleasures. That means you are in a state of comfort and pleasure, and that is gone. So that is impermanent. So that also leads to suffering. Then there are some very deep existential sufferings. That means the process of getting old, the process of getting sick, death, and birth, old age, death, birth, old age, death. This wheel of life which puts us again and again into the situations of suffering. So we have to understand at every level. One is pain, body pain and mental pain. One is losing of happiness, happy moments, pleasures, good things, good people, whatever we think are ours, then they are gone, all these kinds of suffering. And then the suffering of, what we can say, suffering of samsara, the wheel of existence that brings. Now all this is based directly on impermanence, the nature of impermanence. So these two, impermanence and suffering. The third aspect, the third characteristic of our life is egolessness or selflessness. We have to understand it correctly because there are quite many misconceptions about the very word ego or self. To know about this selflessness, we have to understand the composition of our life. As I told you, the life is made up of body and mind. There is material aspect, matter, which is body, which in turn is made up of the same things as they are in any vegetables like carrot or cabbage or green leaves or fruits. That very fruit or vegetable or grain becomes our bone and flesh and skin. We have this wonderful, miraculous system which turns that vegetable into body. That's how we get nourishment. We don't have anything else apart from these material qualities. They are nothing but elements. Ultimately, if we go down, they turn into elements. In modern words, in modern explanation, in chemistry, elements. There are so many elements explained. But as a matter of experience, there are 4 elements: earth element, water element, fire element, and air element. Earth means solidity, water is cohesion, that which brings things together. fire is temperature, and air is movement. The fact that we can move our body is because we have air element inside and air element outside. So now that itself is a quite deep study of matter. Very interesting. And Lord Buddha explained in such great details, with such great analysis, atomic particles or subatomic particles, or the ultimate material particles, which we may not name, but which are experienceable. We can experience them and understand the real nature of these elements. And they are also changing. So the body is made up of these elements, and they are changing every second, millions of times. So where is that which we call self or my body? Not one atom is functioning according to our wish. Not one cell is functioning according to our wish. Not one part of the body made up of these cells is listening to us. Heart is working in its own way, liver is working in its own way, or brain or pancreas or bones or intestines, or take any part of the body. None of them listen to you. Isn't it? But we still claim that this body is ours. We have this ownership feeling. Here we have to understand this at two levels. One is conventional level and one ultimate level. What I told now is in ultimate sense. Conventionally, yes, we have to call with name. I am Ananda, you are so and so, you are so and so. Otherwise, our life will become chaotic. How are you going to recognize? How are you going to manage? So we have to call names and say you and I, he or she, and all these things for identification. But that is for our day-to-day life. That is conventional reality at conventional level. But in ultimate sense, it is not there. To whom you are calling he or she? And I say, I am so and so Ananda. Who is that? If we analyze the body, none of the body parts is stable, is functioning according to our wish. It is functioning according to the laws of this body, law of the nature, physics, chemistry, biology, whatever the laws are there, according to that, influenced by mind. Ultimately it is so. Elements coming, going, coming, going, coming, going. And these elements are interacting by way of breathing, taking the air, by way of drinking liquid things, by way of eating. So it is becoming a process of change is going on. So that is body. And what is the story of the mind? It is not very different. It is also similar. That every moment a state of consciousness arises and passes, arises and passes, with different mental qualities, functions. A mental function which is able to recognize, recognizing part will recognize, feeling part will feel, perceiving part will perceive, angry part will become angry or greedy, mental quality will become greedy. Or they function in that one moment of consciousness and they're gone. Next moment another consciousness with functions coming and gone. again functions coming and gone. That is how mind is flowing at rapid speed. So can we catch up something there and say, oh, this is I, this is mine. Just like we can't hold of anything in the body, so also in the mind we cannot. That is called selflessness or egolessness, or you call whatever. There is no permanent entity which is everlasting. Now again, these were the realizations of the Buddha, and then the realization of so many people. And if you explore, they will be more and more clear, evident to you. Your realization. So when you understand impermanence, suffering, and selflessness, the more and more you understand, it is easier to let go things, because they will go anyway. Even if you try to hold on, they don't remain. They will go. So we, with our false understanding or illusion, we try to hold on. We don't want to let go, and then conflicts happen. So this is, these characteristics are very, very fundamental realities of our life. Understanding them brings wisdom. Brings this wisdom, our detachment will come. Detachment not in the sense of negative way of throwing away things, no. The sense that we understand the reality and we are able to let go. Detachment doesn't mean, oh, this is my mother, this is my father, you are impermanent. Just get lost. No, that will not happen. Instead, you will have a lot of love. Instead, you will have, life is changing. Life is not permanent. And the occasions to fall into suffering are so many. Now this is the moment. I am changing. Say my mom is changing. But in this changing process, what matters is how I can be happy and how I can give happiness to that person. So all the more compassion, love will start flowing. Because every moment is passing away, so it will start becoming so precious. So detachment is there in the sense that you know, yes, my mom is now becoming old, or my mom is going to die. I am able to accept this reality. I let go that suffering. But I have immense love. Wisdom always increases your love and compassion. So wonderful, wholesome emotions. Ignorance increases unwholesome emotions. Greed and attachment, which brings suffering. Whereas wisdom increases love and compassion, which brings happiness. That is the difference. So in life, understanding of these three realities are so basic, you can deal with any situation, whether your car breaks down, or whether your cooking system breaks down, or whether you don't find your key, or you are struggling to drive to your workplace and maybe there is traffic. I didn't see traffic in your beautiful Fresno, but I saw in LA 2 hours driving, and I saw at least 2-3 persons I was driving with, and all the 3 persons were quite comfortable because Meanwhile, they understood the nature after hitting so many times. They have learned to live with reality. But those who are not able to understand the reality, they will be struggling. Oh, my time is up and now I have to rush and this and that. But when you accept that reality and manage things correctly, then there is no problem. Ultimately, it boils down to understanding of a reality of impermanence, suffering, and selflessness or egolessness, which also means imperfection. All the concepts of perfection that we have got, we create based on the opposite of these realities, on permanence, on happiness, on the sense of I or you and such things. We create concept of perfections. It should be like this. It has to be like this. It should not be like this. Yeah? But the very nature is changing. It is imperfect, so to say. But the reality itself is, we can say, perfect. So a lot of tensions and worries we can overcome. Don't you think so? Just even intellectual understanding can help us so much. But when we go deeper and experience it, it will help immensely. That is how we come out of suffering. It is possible to come out of all sufferings. And that is the state of enlightenment. You are just out of all kinds of illusion, ignorance, and suffering. A worthwhile goal in life, if you can have that. Or at least if you try for that. Otherwise, the struggle is endless and meaningless. For what we are here, what are we doing here? If you question yourself, if you don't go into these realities, then it becomes meaningless. It just ends up with struggle for existence. Just to exist, we are doing this and that and struggling and struggling. At the end of the life, I have existed. That's all the achievement we can see. But as human beings, we have the potentiality to understand. We have the potentiality to outgrow our ignorance. So shouldn't we use that before we die? Make our life even more meaningful, more utilized, more purposeful. Shouldn't we bring happiness in this world? Forget about the world. You bring happiness to yourself. And at least one fellow in this world is happy. One suffering you have reduced. You have contributed already immensely. Because one person can create a lot of problems. If that one person goes crazy, then that one person can create a lot of problems. So also one person, Buddha was one person and could create a lot of happiness to others. So don't underestimate this one person which you can change, which you can manage. And certainly when you are with wisdom and compassion, you will influence the surroundings and so many people. I think this is a meaningful way of living. But you can judge yourself and explore yourself, whether it is true or not. Lord Buddha himself also thrown this challenge in a way to say that you explore, you experience. It is yours. I can just guide. I can show you the path. And because you can do that, I'm telling you, because you can experience, I'm telling you. It's like if you eat a very tasty ice cream, you keep on eating, that is for yourself. But then when you share that with others, say you give it to your husband or wife or your children, you also taste. It is so tasty. You also taste out of love, out of compassion. But then the tasting part has to be done by the other person. You can't taste for that person. So also the Buddha gave this teachings, this path. Now it is up to us. He has brought up to our mouth. Now it is up to us to bite and chew and taste it. So we are very fortunate. And you are all very fortunate to have this such wonderful group here, such wonderful place here, such wonderful ideals that you have got, such wonderful values you have got in this church here for humanity. What all wonderful things you are doing. It is really, really great contribution to the world, which has come out of certain amount of wisdom. Then only compassion comes. If no wisdom, no compassion. More ignorance, more hatred. More ego, more arrogance. So more wisdom, compassion. So I wish all of you that you get together as often as possible, share yourselves, and then people will keep adding. Surely the value of goodness will triumph in this world. Sometimes it may seem, oh, some bad fellows, evil fellows are influencing the world. Yes, they are influencing the world, but good people are influencing even more. That confidence you have in yourself, that goodness has higher power. Yeah? So, I wish you all the best, and on this holy day, on the arising of the enlightened one, I wish enlightenment also sparkles in your hearts, and you also grow on the path of enlightenment. Thank you very much.